Blog Talk Radio.
Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Contaminator! Contaminator! Man assassinator! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! A damn shot straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! You can stop the straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! I will fly high! 5-star frog splash! You can't stop me! 5-star frog splash! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! It's all about the yin and the yang! The balance of power, the zen! You can't stop the yin and the yang! The balance of power, the zen! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! I will levitate! Flip, kick you in the yam! I will decimate! You can prepare for! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! 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 Drop it down! The whole fucking show!
You're listening to RVD Radio.
And silence until we hear from Bruce Jingles, who says,
RVD, motherfucker! RVD,
Yeah,
motherfucker!
happy November
RVD,
19th.
motherfucker!
all right, Bruce, settle down. It's November 19th, 2008. First time ever. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing good. Sonia's doing good. We're going to have a good show because this is kind of fun. You know, been doing this for a while. Oh, my God, we're doing it another week. Here we are. We're not going to run out of topics. You know why? Because we got all the room in the world to think. As long as you're willing to think outside the box. A lot of people are afraid to think about our subject today. They are. It's just something that it's embedded in them their entire lives. Do not question the word of God, right? That is the majority of people in this country, and I would think probably the majority of people on the planet. And I think there's a reason for that. I think there's a good reason for it. We want answers. What the fuck are we doing here anyway, right? But is it all right to question what you've been told? Of course. You know the rules to RVD Radio. It's always good to question. Yeah? Think about what it is you will accept before you accept what it is you will think. That's what RVD wants from you. So anyway, this is hopefully not going to offend anybody talking about God, because we're just talking about an unknown. Anybody who says that they know for sure what God is and all the facts about it, I think you're crazy. There's no way. Just like if you think you know for sure what's going to happen when you die, you don't know. You cannot know what's going to happen when you die. Even if you have died for a few minutes and you were on the operating table and your heart stopped beating for a few minutes and you saw a light and you saw dead relatives or something like that, even in that case, you still don't know what's going to happen when you're done, you know? Maybe that was like an in-between, your heart stopped, but who the fuck are the doctors to say if your spirit is really gone or not? They don't know. They can't measure that. No offense, Ghostbusters. But, you know, I am a spiritual person, and I know and have a relationship with an energy that I cannot explain all the facts about, and I'm comfortable saying that. A lot of people aren't comfortable with the unknown because it's scary. So they want to listen to other people explain what it is. And okay, that makes sense. That can get you in a lot of trouble. We used to think the world was flat. We used to think there was a God controlling every river. And the surviving theory, because that's what it is, you know, there's wars, there's armies conquering other armies, there's people moving on, and then there's people that don't move on, and so the victor gets to tell the story. And anyway, this book, the Bible, I want to talk about that today. It's the Word of God, and it's translated quite a few different ways. It's perceived by different groups of people to mean different things, but they're all so sure that they're right, that their interpretation is the correct way, that they try to devote 100% of their life to it. Now, when I say 100%, it's not that they don't sin. It's just that they give themselves guilt and give themselves shit for every little thing that they do that they consider a sin, which really is a hell of a lot of stress, a whole lot. Adds a lot of stress to your life if you're feeling guilty every time you notice a hot ass walking down the sidewalk. I don't mind. I don't give myself shit for that. I say, hey, that's God's work. That's beautiful. Thank you, God. You know? I don't think, oh, my God, I'm lusting for the flesh. And I'm not trying to make fun of people that, well, kind of does sound like I'm making fun of them. Maybe I am. But I'm just pointing out my perspective, and I'd love to hear from people with different perspectives. Like I said, I think the majority of the country does follow the Bible in some perceivement. I mean, whether they're Christian, Catholic, whether they're Jews, Mormons, who, by the way, are okay with having 16 teenage wives, but do not want same-sex couples to marry because it's just not right. It's not traditional. It blows the wholesomeness of marriage. You know, they all kind of respect each other's right, but it's really a gray area. You know, it's obviously you might respect somebody's right because they're different religion, they have different holidays than you, whatever. But aren't you looking down on them? I mean, if you really believe that they're going to burn in hell because they don't follow the exact same stiff guidelines that you do, that's always been my issue with organized religion. And by the way, the priests, I don't think that they're any closer to God than I am. I don't feel like that. I feel like they're very human. I feel like they are higher up in the study of their particular study. For instance, it's a lot like a professor at a college in a certain class. You want to know something about Roman mythology or whatever, Egyptian history? I mean, if you find the professor that's been studying that for so many years, then that's the guy. He's your man. He's the pro you want to go to. That's how priests are for their particular denomination. You want to go to somebody that really has been studying the Bible in this way, then you go to them. But they're not closer to God. That's my feeling. Same with the Pope. Sorry, Pope's human too. He's just kind of like the professor of the whole university, kind of how I see that. And there's nothing wrong with, with going to church and hanging out with a group full of people to try to further your relationship with that divine energy, I think it's a lot like what we do on a personal level when a lot of us meditate in a spiritual way, when we try to get to know our personal meaning in life, how our life is going to contribute to the bigger picture. That's basically what we do on our own. And if you want to do it a certain way, then you do it with a group of other people and you talk it out and you share the rules or the guidelines or discoveries of present and past studiers of just that. So there you go. That's what I feel like it is. I feel like it's easy to just follow, to just go to church on Sundays and the rest of the week do whatever the hell you want, and then say, oh yeah, no, I consider, all I know is I believe in Jesus. I'm going to heaven. That's all I know. And I really doubt that that's how it works. But I'm definitely willing to tell you that I don't know how it works. People that tell you they do know how it works, that's when they say, well, it's faith. Well, sure, I know what faith is. I have a lot of faith in a lot of things, but when you question something that is definitely an unknown and something that you're likely not going to get an answer for, therefore it is almost like meant to be a question, that's okay. That's not a lack of faith because you're questioning it. Not at the school of RVD anyway. So if you want to give yourself shit for it, then by all means, feel free to do that. I think it's a waste of energy. I think it's negative energy that could be spent better, So we're all individuals, and we all are searching for answers. Some of us think we're put here for a reason, and that it all, will lead to something. Some people don't believe that at all. They think, that we're just like an accident, and I kind of see evolution as that, although there's a lot of different perspectives on that too. But as far as, just eventually evolving from a single cell, and we all went different ways, and who knows what we'll go to next. But anyway, I definitely feel that there is a higher power, and to me, that is God. And so call it by different names, call it by different ideas. For me, I can refer to God as the creator. I can refer to it as life. I can refer to it as the universe, when sometimes you just feel like you're being pushed a certain way, like there's a current guiding you through your day, and you're like, you know what, life does not want me to go down that and make it to the shoe store today, or whatever. That was an example, by the way. I don't know why I said shoe store, but it's irrelevant. So anyway, that is God to me. God is the big question. Are we being watched by something? Were we created with a purpose for something? Does the solar system really just happen to be so laid out? How about the human body? You know how complex, how many hundreds of complex systems there are in your body? We can definitely call into the Dr. Shawn show afterwards and ask about all those systems. So when I fill out paperwork or any kind of questionnaires when it comes to asking personal information and it wants you to check a box for religion or religious beliefs, I always go with spiritual, because I definitely am spiritual. I'm very spiritual, if you knew me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that I am for or against what you think and what you believe. So that's something we're going to be talking about. Spirituality's been a big part of my life for a long time. And, oh, my God, we have a lot of calls. So this is a touchy subject. Touchy subject. Don't need anybody pissed off. Although, if God can hear me and would like to call in and tell us exactly how we're supposed to perceive life, I would appreciate that. So make sure that God sees the number, 347-308-8753, God. But he knew that. He knew that. Is it a he? Is it a she? Is it something we totally cannot understand because we're just peons? Probably so. Probably so. A little bit of history for you real quick. When I was a kid, like 4 or 5 years old, I remember when I first moved to the house in Penfield, my parents tried to find a church, like a Sunday school or something, for me and my sister to go to. And I remember we went to 2 or 3, maybe 4 different ones, and I don't know what my mom and dad didn't like about them. And I was so young, I have very vague memories. I remember the story of Noah's Ark, and I remember like the class discussions, but it was mostly just running around and playing like little kids do. And then after that, after 5 years old, like I never was required to go back to church again. So throughout my life, I've been in there for weddings or for funerals. One time looking for answers, and that felt really weird when I was in my early to mid-20s. Thought the whole church was going to collapse on me. It had been so long since I'd been in one. But I also noticed when I was in there that the priest looked like just some guy that could be living next door, some dude that I went to school with, and there he is. I felt like he was fronting as God's right-hand man, and I felt like it was the way that the people looked at him, like they all like looked up to him as if his word was holy, and that just, it didn't sit with me right. But again, that was just looking at it the one way that I did. So, listen, I want to hear what you guys think, too. So, organized religion, spirituality. Of course, we're going to talk about wrestling because I'm a wrestler, and because not only am I a wrestler, but Chris Masterpiece is a wrestler who's online listening, and we're going to bring him right in. Chris Masterpiece, is this finally your fucking return?
Yeah, I'm back, and I'm so excited. What a show to be on. We might have God tonight. Is it true that God might be calling in?
We can't say for sure, but that's what we call faith, Chris. You got faith, and I'm glad to hear that, and so are your fans.
I got faith, and I'm back, baby. I'm back. I had to take a couple weeks
faith.
off.
Just like George Michael before he jerked off in the bathroom, which I can show you. Chris Masturbator. Tour of Hollywood. So anyway, yeah, dude, we've been expecting you the last couple of weeks. You've been no-showing us. We're okay with that. We understand. We're just glad that you're back.
Well, I'm glad to be back, brother. And spirituality being the topic. I feel like I missed some good stuff, though. I mean, I missed the Halloween show. I missed the whole president-elect show. I mean, I missed a lot of good stuff there in between, but I'll stick to the topic.
Yeah, dude, because we'll cover that on the RVD TV episode. We're going to go with our ghost stories and all that. But listen, Chris Masterpiece, everybody has like their own idea, and it's a fact that nobody knows for sure. I can say that's a fact that nobody knows for sure. And myself, I'm fine admitting, that I don't know what God is. I guess. There's a label they call it agnostic, which means that you don't belong to a particular religion, but you believe in a higher power. I don't like labels, as you know, Chris Masturbator, but that's kind of, how I feel as far as, God having a son, Jesus Christ, through a virgin, Mary, then the son, being able to turn water to wine, all that stuff. I don't know, man. It sounds a lot like the stories I used to read about Greek mythology. I know that.
Yeah, it does sound like stories to me. I think I'm my own breed of person too. I mean, there's a small number of us out there, but I'm a Jew for Jesus. But I don't like labels either. So at the same time, what you were saying, I completely agree. It's just these do sound like stories, and I don't know I like the concept of the stories. I think there is something to be learned there, but if you're thinking literally all this stuff happening, I don't know.
I think most people do. I think most people, they're taught that it was literal when they're kids, and they're afraid to question it their entire life. Like they're taught, if they even suspect that that something was made up or exaggerated, I believe that they feel guilty. They feel like they're doing something, the most evil thing, like they're sinning and they're banning, basically sentencing themselves to hell.
Yeah, I definitely I agree with that too.
Let me ask you something, Chris. We got a bunch of calls from Kentucky, from Kansas, from California, and New York.
You have gone nationwide.
Michigan. Hey, but before I go to the call, I want to ask you something. You said you're a Jew for Jesus. Explain that officially to kick off the show. What does that mean? What's the difference between a Jew and, say, a Catholic?
Well, a Jew, my mom is Jewish. If your mom is Jewish and you're born into this world and your mom is Jewish, you are just officially Jewish. That's how it is.
But that's bullshit, though. I mean, really, it's not something, it's actually a religion, though, right? It's not something like, it's not hereditary.
Well, no, yeah, it's not a race, but I mean I think that's how the Jewish religion is perceived. Actually, is that just if your mom is Jewish, you're born in a Jew. But I agree. I understand what you're saying. That doesn't necessarily make sense, but that's what I've been taught my whole life. But I've never necessarily agreed with that either, because and that's where what you're saying comes right into play. Because again, we talked about, okay, literally, we don't know if all this stuff literally happened that's in the Bible, but I think there is a message there in all of these for everybody to take, notice of, whether it was literally happened or it didn't. But, I mean, so it's a very much a shade of gray, where, cause, like, I don't like labels, and I'm just saying I'm a Jew for Jesus, because I was born Jewish, and, just my
So you don't think that it's a way that you because I believe, and some of these callers hopefully will tell me, but I believe it's something to do with the Jesus coming back, like his revival. Like he died and he came back, and don't the Jews think that it wasn't him that came back and that he's still going to come back or something like that?
I just, this is a tough subject, but I don't know if it's again everything that's like Revelations, everything in the Bible. All this stuff, yeah, there might be an end of days, or there might be a comeback of Jesus, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be perceived the way people think it is through what they've read in the Bible or what they think is going to be, the upcoming of Jesus or whatever, Yeah,
hold on, I'm missing something here.
Who stole the fucking dope?
Awesome. I got some new sound bites. Thank you, Harris Slash. We'll be talking to him in a minute. Rich from Michigan. What up, dude? Welcome to RVD Radio.
Hey, RVD.
How are you? Chris Masters is on the phone, too, with you, by the way. I hope that's okay.
What's going on, brother?
Fine. Hey, Chris.
What's up? How you doing?
All right.
Right on. Hey, what kind of, are you a religious person, Rich?
Well, I personally believe that the Bible is the best-selling piece of fiction on the planet right now, but that's my own personal belief.
Does that mean that you belong to a different religion, or you're kind of like on your own?
I'm just kind of on my own. I respect people's beliefs. Like, I don't, sit there and judge people because they're Christian or Jewish or whatever, but as long as you don't try to cram your religion down my throat, then to each their own.
Right on. And by the way, I do understand why people do that, because they think that they are helping people. Like if I knew how to save everybody's life, like if I knew that everybody was going to die tomorrow and I had a way to cure them, I would run around telling everybody, dude, you got to listen to me, don't drink the water. And they would think I was crazy. And I think that's how the Bible thumpers are, that they feel like they're legitimately helping people. And I can understand that perspectively, but yeah, at the same time, I kind of feel like, well, so you're telling me that you think I'm going to burn in eternity for hell? Because that sounds a little bit stiff.
Yeah, people don't react well to that. At least I know I personally don't. When somebody tells you that, you do kind of takes you for a second. But what were you going to say, caller?
Well, I was just going to say, that RVD's definitely got a point that that people just want to say whatever they want, whatever they believe, and they want to make other people believe that. But if somebody doesn't want to believe what you believe, then that's their own right, and you need to respect that.
Yeah, I think it's people are looking to be comfortable. They're afraid with not knowing, and they feel better saying, "Well, this is the way it is," and I know that's the way it is because I can find 80% of the population to tell me this is the way it is. So I'm gonna go with this. Okay, there's the road that many travel, and then there's the road that the few successful travel. I don't know. It's what do you think, Mike from California? Shed some light on the subject.
I don't know. What's up, RVD? How you doing, bro?
Excellent, Mike. I got the masterpiece on the line with you right now.
What's up, Chris? How you been, man? When are we going to see you again?
Good, man. You up in California? Where you at in Cali?
We're over in Whittier, bro, a little far off of L.A.
Oh, yeah, you're not too far. I'm in the valley. All right. So what's going
right
on,
bro? Yeah, well, I've been listening to you guys, and, the whole religion thing's kind of strange because hell's a pretty fucked up deal, and the Bible has a lot of fucked up, bullshit stories, but I think there are also a lot of stories where you can learn a lot from, but, I guess you gotta know where to look because there's a lot of really bad shit in there, too.
Well, I mean, you know, if you're just going to compare it to another storybook, there's good stories and bad stories out there everywhere, you know, but the fact is, not only do most people devote their life towards this with a belief that the next life is going to be the payoff, because that's how I totally view it, but also in a country where we're supposed to have separation from church and state, we actually have in the court of law a punishable crime to swear on the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, if you swear on the Bible under oath, then that's a fucking penalty because I guess God was listening.
Was there anyone you know?
Yeah, that doesn't make any kind of sense. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, hey,
I mean, I don't know, bro, because, like, I believe in God and everything, but, like, that Noah's Ark story is total bullshit, you know? I mean, come on. And then it seems like all this guilt that they put on you just for having your own personal thoughts, I mean, that's pretty fucked up, too. So, a lot of ways, it kind of controls people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a lot about control, and just like
the gay and lesbian community.
Yeah, for sure. Which they blame that on religious beliefs as well, and it's crazy. It's the Mormons that are financing the Proposition 8. So it went through. Proposition 8 went through, which means they made an amendment to the Constitution to take away the equality of same-sex couples because they thought that wasn't cool. And ever since then, there's been protests here in L.A., and probably everywhere in California, but there's protests all over the streets in Hollywood, like groups of like hundreds of them. I don't know if they're going to get it overturned, if that's a possibility or what, but Masterpiece, we also have Officer X from the East Coast on the line with us. What up, Officer X? Talk to us.
What's up, boys?
Hey, man.
Officer X. I like it.
Hey, let me ask you a cop question, okay? So we got these people rioting out in the streets. They can't do anything to change it back after the vote, right? Or is that really, like, not your area?
It's not my area, but, I mean, from what I've read, it would have to be a constitutional amendment, you know?
That's what passed, was to amend the Constitution, and they voted, decided that was what to do, and it was one of those confusing things where you vote yes and it means no because you're voting to pass an amendment, and the amendment took away the equality because here in California, just like there in Massachusetts, same-sex couples have been able to get married, but only for a few months, and that pissed a lot of people off. They wanted to change it back, and they blame it on religion. Officer X, if you don't mind me getting a little bit personal with you, I know that you are a churchgoer as well, just like probably the majority of people in the United States. I myself do not go to church, so what does that mean as far as like your understanding of the way that things work, the way it's written in the Bible, the way that worshipers are doing the right thing? Does that mean that that other people are going to go to hell?
My opinion on hell is a little different. I think hell is a place on earth, to be honest with you, and people put themselves in that state by their actions and thoughts, you know? Like, you can get a guy, if you want to be an asshole and be a penny pincher or a miser or a mean person, you're living in that state of hell now because you have no peace. I mean, I don't think there's a devil with a pitchfork and a fire that everyone's getting roasted in, if that's the question.
Yeah, that's one thing I've never really, since I was a little kid, the more I've felt like I have a better understanding of just the relationship, like I said, like we talk about all the time with that energy that's inside of us and then between us and makes all things possible. And I don't really see a place for a devil in there. I mean, there's negative energies, there's opposite reactions to everything positive, and there's definitely things that can get you disconnected, and that's what it is for me. All the negativity is being knocked off track. When you're on track and you're connected into that divine energy, it feels like you're where you're supposed to be, and it feels like you're living in the magic of life. That's the way that I've studied to be, and Officer X as well. But by the book, with the Bible, do you think that's more of finding other people with similar interests? Is it more of is it just like an insurance, where people go and say, as long as I go to church, I feel like at least I'm doing the right thing to counter some of the bad things I do during the week?
To an extent, but I mean, I go to church because I get energy from it. It makes me feel good and I get something out of it. But I mean, I know plenty of guys that go to church, they sit in the front row and they got their necktie on and then they leave and they're out, they're driving out of the parking lot, they're cutting some old lady off, calling her a bitch, going home, smacking the wife, yelling at their kids. So what good is it? It can be hypocritical,
Yeah, for sure. Chris Masters, don't be knocking your hottie around. You're too big.
Well, I don't know. I'm just taking this in right now, and I think I feel like kind of what he was saying is almost like almost reading the book The Secret, more than even so the Bible, about the law of attraction and making your own personal hell on earth and your reactions to other people, right?
Yeah, I don't know how familiar you are with The Secret, Chris, but Officer X and I and Dr. Shawn all, have lengthy discussions about the law of attraction and about, similar books that we've read, like The Celestine Prophecy and The Secret. Brian has sent me some books that I haven't read yet. He's always recommending. And it's all, basically about furthering ourselves in that relationship. We don't understand exactly what it is, but we know for sure when the relationship grows and there's evidence in everyday life. And, it's really hard to explain to someone on the outside, but Officer X, you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, and if you try to explain it to people that have no interest in it, they'll think you're nuts. Like, my wife's listening on the computer. When she walks upstairs, she's going to say, "You guys are out of your fucking minds."
Well, of all the name.
Hey, man, I'm with Fred. That's fucked up.
Yeah. No, but it's true. I mean, in a lot of things with religion, I mean, people cannot deny there's a God, but I've heard it said, too, a few times, it's God's is the incomprehensible mystery, but yet everywhere obvious. I mean, things just didn't happen. A spaceship didn't land, two boulders didn't connect, and this world came out.
Well, that's kind of what the Big Bang Theory is, I think, is just like, boom, like some kind of fission started, some implosion, some crap that caused a gradual fucking growth that became you and I, and that's my understanding of the Big Bang Theory, which is very opposite from what creationists believe, which is, the fact that we were created as we are, and I'm sure over time we evolve a little bit, hunch over, whatever, but to tell me that me and this fucking spider that I just killed on the wall both went through, different paths, but at once were the same thing. That one's hard for me to believe, and when you say two boulders crash together and make the Earth, that sounds exactly like what Big Bang Theory is, which, by the way, is the accepted theory. That's what they're teaching in schools now and stuff. At least that's my understanding. I got Tristan calling from Kansas, and I hope maybe Tristan's got an opinion to add to this subject. What up, Tristan?
What's going on, man?
How the hell are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Actually,
Where are you from, Tristan?
I'm from Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah, I wrestled there. I think I broke Scotty Riggs' nose there once.
Oh, where were you at? You at the Kansas Coliseum or something?
Yes, sir. That's exactly right.
Cool.
It was one of the
It was the debut of the Van Terminator before I did it on the pay-per-view. I did it in a house show once, and Smack broke his nose with it, and he's cool with that, though. I already tested him out and broke his nose years ago, so I knew he'd like it. He'd be all right with it. So, Tristan, what are they teaching you in Kansas about God?
It's the Christian state, through and through, pretty much. It's like
Christian the Christian. Dude, that could be your wrestling name.
There you go.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, I don't know, I'm definitely not implying that there's anything wrong with Christians. I imagine just like, I imagine a lot of people calling are different. Just like Masterpiece said, he's a Jew, and you're Christian, and whatever. I'm Polish, so I'm supposed to be Catholic. I was actually baptized once too. Let me throw that into my history. I forgot about that.
Wow.
Years and years after not going to church, one time I was baptized. I think it was at my grandpa's funeral during that visit.
I am shocked. I'm just learning that.
What's that mean, though? Do I got like a chip implanted in me so that when I die, God will say, "Oh, he's covered."
Hey, Rob.
Yo.
I'm not Christian. I just want to clear that up.
Well, that's okay, man. But what are you?
I more study the Buddhist philosophy.
Ooh, nice. I like that, man. The way of the peaceful warrior.
All we are is a result of our past thoughts, is Buddha, correct?
Say that again?
All we are is a result of our past thoughts.
And actions.
All we are is dust in the wind, some 80s song that rings in my head a lot. No. Sing it. Okay.
Hey,
you.
Hey, Hey, Mrs. X is requesting the RVD MF sound effect.
Oh, is she standing by?
She's on the computer right now.
All right, hey, Bruce Jingles, give a shout-out to Mrs. X over there in Massachusetts for us.
RVD, motherfucker!
Yeah, he's willing. Always willing, man.
I love that guy. He's funny.
Yeah, sounds a lot like Samuel Jackson. So, Tristan, you got any Buddhist things you want to leave us with? Because big fan of Zen. I got Zen all over me.
I had a question, really. I don't want to break the subject, but it was more of a wrestling question.
All right.
Is that cool?
Yeah, dude, let's fire away.
I just wanted to get your opinion on Shawn Michaels, the performer, and the person, because I've heard a lot of different things from different people. And you and him are my two favorites. I just wanted your opinion since you've been there with him.
Well, I think that he is a hell of a performer. I think that he paved the way for a lot of the guys that are 260 pounds and such, because I remember him as being one of the first smallest world champions. When he was world champion, I think he was, 205, 210 or something. He wasn't, that big of a guy, and it didn't matter because, he had a killer body and he had great matches with everybody. Bret Hart, also, who was around the same size. Because of those guys, the standards changed and made it so that guys like me could actually have careers, so hats off for that. And as a person, I don't really know him that well, he's not somebody that I feel I'd really want to hang out with like Chris Masters. He seems a lot more like somebody that would shake your hand and then after you walk away, kind of like roll his eyes, and like you're a big joke or something. I don't know. It's just it's an energy feel that I get when I'm around him. Chris Masturbator. Maybe you can give your perception of him.
Well, I grew up watching him too. So I mean, I had definitely an honor working with him and Ric Flair and all those other guys when I went up there. But I don't know. I guess I kind of got maybe the same perception a little bit sometimes from the great HBK. But never any bad personal experiences with him. He did nothing but help me, especially in the short, the initial phase when I went up there. So. I have nothing but I've heard the horror stories. Trust me, and I've.
Sure. I've heard some stories I won't share too about way back in the day when he was a young boy. But no, I've never had a bad experience with him either. But just to give you an example of what I mean about how I perceive him, I did the speech where I inducted the Sheik into the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania, right? And of course, I tore the house down. Everybody's right. Well. Everybody except two people. There was 2 sour grapes in the front row. Me and Sabu were laughing because everybody in the whole crowd is having a good time, enjoying the stories, except for 2 sour grapes right in front of the podium, sitting there with their arms crossed, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. And it was kind of funny because I said, well, whatever. I'd probably be the same way if they were up there because, honestly, I'm not a fan of the whole DX. Here, bite my wiener, whatever, suck it, all that stuff. I honestly don't understand the whole thing. 40-year-olds acting like they're high schoolers, and it wouldn't be right to call me a fan of theirs to be, totally well-rounded with everything that I say. But so the next day, Shawn Michaels comes up to me and he says, "Wow, Rob, last night that speech you gave, I couldn't believe it. I mean, you were funny." You were charming, smart. It was good. I was surprised. It was good. And then walks away. Now, how the fuck do you take that? If that's not a backhanded compliment, saying, wow, I didn't think you were capable of that. I thought you were a fucking retard. And no offense, retards, by the way. We have, it says 9, but it says 8. I'm confused. Is it 8 or 9, Nikki? We have a caller, and it's a very important caller that I got to get through. Nikki. All right, she says 9, but I don't know. Let me see who's on 9 because that way I can test my theory. If it's not 9, like I think it's not, it is
maybe it's number 10.
All right, it is. Ready for this one? Chris Masters, as you requested, and you held on to your faith. Jesus is on line 8. What up, Jesus?
Hello.
Jesus Christ. Did you call into RVD Radio?
Yes, I have a very important question.
Jesus has a question for us, Chris Masterpiece.
That's incredible. I can't believe this.
No, this is for Rob.
Okay, dude. It's getting a bit blasphemous, but okay. Lay it on me.
Did your dick shrink from all the steroids?
Jesus.
Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. What do you think, Masterpiece? Was that,
Who was that for? He said that was for you?
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, let me put it this way.
I don't want to talk to these cocksuckers, but you have to.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You're loving them sound bites. I love it. You're like a real radio host now.
Thanks, dude. They're fucking fun. I'm going to go now Paul from Panama City. What up, Paul in Panama City?
Hello, mate. How's it going?
Hey, are you sure you're not calling from Australia, the land down under?
Oh, no, that's me. Where I've been living in America, I'm losing my accent. It's going, mate.
Going fast, brother.
I know. I was just curious. Have you ever heard of the Incorruptibles?
I personally have not. Officer X, have you heard of the Incorruptibles?
No. Who are they, Paul?
In a nutshell, what they are, they're these religious people that have died like a couple of 100 years ago. But when they have died, their bodies have been like mysteriously preserved.
I know all about that shit.
Yeah, and there was one woman, they made a movie about it, Song of Bernadette. She was called some Bernadette from France, and she died like 200 years ago, and her body is still preserved, and no one can explain it.
Yeah, I can give you that one, Rob.
Okay, let's have it.
The saints, right? It's a Saint Bernadette, and her body's preserved in Lourdes, France. And
Saint Bernard?
No. Saint Bernard, quit being blasphemous, will you? The Saint Bernadette is in France, right over by Lourdes, and they say her body's incorruptible. That's one of the hallmarks, they say, of saints that they've exhumed.
They get 5 million pilgrims visit there every year because they believe in it. She supposedly saw the Virgin Mary in a cave.
Right, yeah. But anyways, it worked for her. She's still in one piece.
Well,
that's it, and like no one can explain it, and going back, this is a very funny show for me because everything Rob has said tonight I can relate to, and somebody once said, I forget who, one of my friends said, I would hate to live my life believing there is not a God than dying and finding out that there is a God.
Ooh, nice. That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
I like that one. Hey, I'm not coming across as blasphemous, am I, Paul?
Hold on. We got a special guest
No,
here.
not at all, mate. No, Rob ain't sounding blasphemous. No, he's got his shit straight. But, I totally believe, I'm English, right? I like a drink. Jesus drank wine. So if I enjoy a beer, am I going to go to hell?
I don't believe so. But I don't know what hell is, so maybe some other callers can answer. What are you trying to shout at us? Officer X.
Yeah, listen. Mrs. X is an undertaker, as you know, correct?
That is correct. She works at a funeral home like 6 feet under.
And she's yelled up the stairs from the basement. They're using good formaldehyde.
Okay, that's okay. Well, so that's the answer then, huh? Explanation from the skeptics. Explain that water into wine stuff then. How about that, huh? All right. Hey, we could plug the funeral home too. Do some business. No, let's not. I'm undercover Officer X, motherfucker. I know what Anonymous is all about. Harry Slash, our East Coast representative, our New York official, on the line with us as well. Not too far from Officer X, probably enjoying the same cold, fucking, shitty weather, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you are not. It is freezing up here on the East Coast.
Do you guys ever just think about California and just be like, why the hell don't I just move there?
Ask Rob, what I say when I was looking over your balcony.
You say, why the fuck would you want to go anywhere else?
Who the fuck would want to sleep in a hotel room in Camden, New Jersey for a wrestling match when you can look out this window?
Exactly.
Yeah, no shit.
For sure. I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go to Florida, and I'll be visiting my parents for a few days. And from what I understand, it's even a little chilly there in Florida. And I forgot. Fuck, it's the end of November. I guess it's supposed to be cold. You kind of forget that when you live in California with 355 days of sunshine a year.
It was 84 degrees. 84 degrees today.
Don't forget the other stuff, man. Earthquakes, fires, gay riots.
Gay riots. That's a nice national disaster. We know where your mind is. That's that was funny. Hey, Harry Slash.
Yo, I wanted to bring up a point regarding the Bible.
Please.
Right off the bat, there's a big chunk of Jesus' life missing from the Bible. You read about him turning water into wine, which, me personally, that sounds a little bit like alchemy. And then he disappears until he comes back riding on the donkey. So the Bible doesn't even bother to try and explain where he was for all those years.
Yeah, what happened between turning the water into wine and visiting Tijuana? We don't know. There's a lot of...
No. That's called the hidden years of Jesus Christ, is how it's explained.
Oh, here we go.
No.
Really?
The teachings of Saint Isa from India have been stated to be the teachings of Jesus Christ after he left his homeland and started traveling, as was the common thing for a 13-year-old Jewish Hebrew person at that time. You either got married or you went out and saw the world. And he supposedly traveled to India, to Pakistan, to Northern Africa, to the Middle Eastern regions, and then came back to lead his apostles. But the Christian Bible doesn't recognize the teachings of Saint Isa, yet if you read them, they're exactly what Jesus allegedly said in the Bible.
Well, I mean, I know there's a lot of indiscrepancies. We actually, Sonia and I, have watched quite a few documentaries on it. I haven't gotten around to reading the big book myself yet, at least not as an adult. But, I don't know if a lot of people know about the woman before Eve. Right, baby? What's her name? The Lilith. There was Lilith. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Lilith, but...
Wasn't Lilith Fraser's wife?
Yeah, dude. She's a reincarnation of this. The first woman created in the Bible in the Old Testament, it's Lilith. She was created at the same time as Adam. And she
Wasn't that Herman Munster's wife, too?
There you go. Now who's being blasphemous? You're probably... No, you're being defensive in the right way because God abolished her and that she was doomed to have 1,000 babies a day die, and she's blamed for infant deaths before or after birth. I don't know. And then also strong women's rights movement because she was equal. She was made and created at the same time as Adam. But anyway, in the newer versions, the newer testaments, they totally scrapped her and went with Adam making Eve out of his rib. There's a lot of changes, and who gave them the right to change the stories from the way that they originally were? I don't know. Don't everybody jump in at once. We got Harry Slash from New York. We got Chris, the Masterpiece, Mordeski.
I've never heard of this woman that you're talking about.
I'm
not familiar.
Okay, well, Lilith is actually a lot of times considered a demonic character, and there's a fair in her honor called the Lilith Fair, which you probably have heard of. But it's a concert, my wife says. But it's still in her honor because she's Lilith, and the girl, and she's also the wife on Fraser. Now listen, she refused to lie underneath God. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. She was created at the same time as Adam. They were equals. She refused to lie underneath him, and she went bitching to God, and she called God's real name, which was like the worst fuck-up you could possibly do because her and Adam apparently knew God's name. This is the way the story was. I know this sounds crazy if you hadn't heard it before, but as a punishment, she's cast to hell. She's gonna lose 1,000 babies a day, and they started over. They started over with Eve, and they just took that part out in the New Testament. Google it. It's Lilith, because I know you don't believe me. It's a crazy story. But there's a lot of changes from Bible to newer Bible to newer Bible.
I find, you know what, the more I find out about the Bible and the Christian and Catholic, it just,
and Jews. Jew for Jesus.
But there's so many contradictions in everything, just from the way I see it. Between that, God shall not, they say God doesn't judge you, but it just feels like there's so much judgment in a lot of those churches too. And I know a lot of people have to agree with that. You know what I mean?
I read something. It was actually in a comic book, so I don't know if I should quote the source. Oops, I already did. But anyway, it was something that a character said. They said, why is let's see, prejudice against atheists the last acceptable hate? Or why is the hate for atheists the last acceptable prejudice? It was well put, just like because it seems a lot of times like Christians attack the atheists or the non-Christians, but then again, I'm definitely not here to knock them for their ways and to counter their beliefs either. But they are strong in what they believe, and they want to enforce it upon others too. Like I said, if I thought I had the answer to life, I would be running around knocking on doors trying to preach it to everybody. But they don't have the they don't have the answer. Nobody does. Not even Chris Mordetsky.
If you get down with though, Rob, right? All these religions, whether it's Islam, Christianity, Judaism, if you skip all the real particular strict stuff that's really insignificant, it comes down to one thing. Just the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated, and just be a good person.
Well, okay, but
the rest of it don't matter. Like, are you going to hell because you eat meat on Friday? Well, they passed the rule when fishermen were going broke. Everybody knows that stuff, Yeah,
so it really does seem like it's about controlling the people. The churches want to control the people, and basically you can't go anywhere without higher ups trying to remain more powerful and even higher up in adding control. Honestly, that's what the Ten Commandments is about. If nothing else, it's about control. It's about controlling you. Do you really think that God cares if you're fucking your neighbor's wife? I mean, I don't know, but I mean that the Ten Commandments. It's like the first 3 or 4, depending on which testament you're reading from, are different ways of how you should worship God, and then it goes on to how to treat the neighbor. Yeah, Sonia brings up a point. By the way, SVD's here. Say hi, Sonia.
Hello.
SVD walks into the room.
What's up, SVD?
Yeah.
SVD is over.
Yeah. So, what she brought up, how about not molesting your kids? Bill Maher said, how about not torturing people? And it shouldn't be too hard to come up with ways to improve upon life and living the proper way without hogging the Ten Commandments like they did. Okay, that blew me up. Anyway, Sonia, we got Big Joe on the line, good friend of mine and radio DJ. I've often had many a chance to go on the McDonald Douglas show back when it was around. And Joe McDonald, now I got you on the RVD radio show. What up?
Hey, man, I'm thrilled. I was telling your producer, this is like the table really being turned. All the times you came on my show, and now I get to come on yours. I am extremely honored.
Hell yeah. Just to let you know right off the bat, a couple differences. There will be some swearing on my show that's not allowed on public radio. In fact, to introduce you, a friend Bruce Jingles left a message for you.
RVD, motherfucker!
Yes.
My kind of radio, baby.
Isn't that beautiful?
I love it. I wish I could do that more often on the regular radio.
I know, dude. That's
no more censorship.
Yeah,
for real. Hey, censorship is its own entire different subject. What's that about? Again, about control. And really, did censorship start with swearing as a sin? Because I was taught as a little kid that swearing is a sin, which basically means that God is frowning on you if you pick certain words over other words. Would that be correct? Would it not?
I never understood this business as far as that goes, especially when you have what are considered to be adult radio shows. And, most talk radio, nobody under 18 is listening except for the little geeks growing up like me who was listening, when I was 12 years old. And, I don't understand.
Who stole the fucking dope?
Yeah, I mean, drop in a motherfucker, you know, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's called adult language because we're adults, and we should, if nothing else, we should at least have the right to fucking choose what words we want to choose. So, Joe, I don't know if you consider yourself religious, and I honestly don't know if you're like a regular every week churchgoer or not, but I'm curious, and we're going to find out here because we're talking about organized religion, we're talking about spirituality in general, our relationship with the unknown, or is it really known, and these people that go to church, they know what it's all about? Where do you stand on that?
You know, it's really interesting you bring that up because I was having a talk with my wife earlier in the week, and I grew up Catholic, went to Catholic schools my entire life pretty much, and it's really weird, Rob, because about the last year I've been having a real spirituality crisis, because if you really look at organized religion, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense that there is a God that can, or any kind of being that can control and listen to the thoughts of 6 or 7 billion people at the time. You just don't know. But the scientists who want to, you know, explain the creation theory and evolution, I mean, you know, they'll say they can take you all the way back to the first particle. But then where did that come from? Nobody can explain it. So,
right, exactly. And scientists do have something, I think it's called a God particle, if I'm not mistaken, because I was asking a scientist about this, and it's something to explain that even as far down as they can break it down, it's still unknown. But let me bring this up because you know when you say there's no way that one being could listen and hear everybody at the same time. I know personally that I feel like I'm being watched. I feel like I've got a guardian angel over my shoulder. I've always felt like that. I feel like I'm being guided through life. And I used to feel like it was only me and that I was like a special chosen one until I started looking into this as an adult. And then I came up with a conclusion that we all have our own personal relationships with God, and the word God to me is the same thing as life, the same thing as the universe. It's that supreme being, the creator that has the plan. I believe that we all are kind of like supposed to be plugged in, but we're not. Like most of us are unplugged. And when it comes down to, you know, how it could be in all of us at the same time, well, then when you look under a microscope and you see that we're not even solid, you know, we're just like a group of particles that are vibrating at the same speed held together. Everything in between us is just energy. We're just energy, and there's an exchange that goes from me to you to everybody else, and there is an energy that flows through all of us.
Oh, I agree with that. I think there's something that bonds everybody together. But when you look at, again, and I'm talking about organized religion, I'm not really talking about a one-on-one relationship with you.
We're talking about it all, Joe. We're talking about it all.
Yeah, I'm talking about these people who, I mean, look at the millions, hundreds of millions, if you look at all-time statistics of people who've been killed in the name of religion.
Oh, I know.
You know, it's just, I mean, even what goes on in the Middle East and how these people will take, you know, any excuse, you know, to say that you're, you know, making fun of their God, that you're inflaming the situation, you're making fun of their religion, they want to kill you. You know, how religious is that? I mean, it's all very strange to me. And I don't know if you've had a chance to see Bill Maher's documentary called Religulous.
I did, and I loved it.
I did too. I thought it was phenomenally well done. And he makes a good point. You know, everybody basically has to choose what they want to do. But I think the message was, if you're going to choose to be a religious person and follow God, then you need to be a religious person and follow God and do what you're supposed to do. And, you know, very simply, live by the golden rule. And, you know, if you don't, that's another choice you make too. I mean, you know, you can be a hedonist and smoke and drink and screw everybody you want and, you know, do whatever you want because you think there is nothing after this. It's all a choice you make, And, you know, again, I'm in the middle of a little bit of a crisis of confidence in my spirituality right now.
Well, that's where you really got to think about, you know, if you really do believe there's something bigger, something greater, something, you know, that watches you, and you do. I mean, if you ever catch yourself talking to yourself, there's a reason you do that, you know, whether you're praying or whether you're just in a room by yourself talking, it's because you know that you really aren't alone. I believe that. I mean, again, you know, that I'm a spirit person. I'm speaking from that perspective, but I don't know for sure, and a lot of people will swear that they do know for sure because this is the way. My dad used to even tell me when I'd ask questions about, hey, how do we know that, you know, it's this or that? My dad's answer used to be because it says so in the Bible. I'm like, really? That's your reference? Like, for sure, that's your end all to answer my questions? We know for sure just because it's written on paper?
Yeah, not only that, but, you know, how many times has the Bible been passed down? Are those really factual stories, or are they just, you know, what they're called parables that are made up by these people? And what about all the hundreds of Gospels that allegedly were written by other disciples, by Mary Magdalene and everything else that were, you know, knocked out by Constantine when they had the big convention to decide whether Christ was really, you know, divine or not?
That was the
right.
Council of Nicaea.
Sure. What's that, Officer X?
That's right. Yeah. So it's just it's very strange. The whole thing is very strange. Like I said, I grew up in a situation where I had no choice. I was Catholic. I was brought up Catholic. I was going to Catholic schools, and I pretty much accepted it. And you know, then I had a situation, which you know, Rob, where I had a whole bunch of people, you know, 12, 13, 14 family and friends who died in a period of 3 years. And it was like, man, you know, is this really the way God's running things? I mean, you know, what's up with that? And you know, it's led to this whole situation of like, okay, do we really have anything to look forward to after we die? And not that it's going to change the way I live. I mean, I'm not going to go out and start murdering everybody I get pissed off at and, you know, whatever. But, you know, it's just like, okay, you know, what's going to happen after you die? When you drop dead, do you just drop dead?
It could possibly be. I mean, that's what we don't know, and that certainly doesn't mean there's not consequences to actions while we're here, but it definitely could be. And the fact is, I don't want to know bad enough to find out right now. I can wait till that answer comes to me.
Amen. Give me another 40 or 50 years to let me know.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Masturbator, I got Big Joe on the line.
Big Joe.
What's up?
Have you ever met Chris Masters, Joe?
Oh, I've never met him, but I've had him on the show before. Yeah, one other time. How you doing, Chris?
Oh, what's going on, Joe?
Everything is wonderful, man. You still living in L.A.?
Of course I am. Me and RVD are loving it out here, right?
For sure, man. We did. I'm becoming a Hollywood historian and a tour guide. I took Chris on a Hollywood tour the other day and showed him all over our beautiful city. He's lived here his whole life, didn't know anything about the magic of this wonderful city.
And we actually took the walk on the trail up to the Hollywood sign, just so you know. We couldn't make it all the way up there, but we made it as far as we could.
March.
Yeah, I did that.
I am a Hollywood mark.
You know what you got to do? You got to take the Graveline tour, where they take you to all the famous death sites in L.A. It's pretty cool.
I was just asking Rob.
I can give you my own tour, Big Joe. Matter of fact, I sent them an email yesterday about some facts they had wrong. That's how big of a Hollywood geek I am. I sent them some facts, just some things about it. I mean, some things they left out that totally worked with the theme, and also they happened to, you know, I don't know. They said the Babylon set, which the Hollywood and Highland Mall is created after. D.W. Griffith made the largest movie set, most expensive. This was in 1916, the Babylon set for the movie Intolerance. And afterwards, it sat there on Sunset Boulevard for years, and it was falling apart, and it was declared a fire hazard. And then finally, it was torn down, and now it's something that you go see on a tour just to see where it used to be. And the guy, a lot of people, and I read this too, they'll say it was up for decades, but it wasn't. It was like 4 years, and within 6 years, every scrap piece had to be picked up when they opened up the Vista Theater. So anyway, I'm a geek when it comes to Hollywood. I love Hollywood. And
there it is, RVD's Hollywood Tours, man, the next business venture.
Oh,
I've been talking
we
about...
got to see the Wonderland murders.
Hey, you know what? Masterpiece, I know you want to see where the Wonderland murders occurred next time we're up that area. And I was just watching Get Shorty, one of my favorite movies ever. And the house, the address was 1850 Wonderland Avenue off of Laurel Canyon, right almost the door where you want to go. Yeah.
I've been there. I've seen it. I've been to all the places where the Kate LaBianca murders happened, and of course OJ, and
Question, what about Black Dahlia? That was another one I was interested in.
Yeah,
you see that one?
I think I haven't been there. You know, I saw the movie, and then I looked up the address, and it's like it was like a field in South. I think it was pretty close to South Central LA.
Yeah, that's what Tanya's saying at the same time.
Yeah,
I didn't hear South Central though. Maybe.
Yeah, that's
you can do a Google.
The body in the field there. I'm sorry, Big Joe. It's your show now. Go ahead, dude.
No, not my show, man. This is your show. But no, and going back to what we were talking about religion-wise, and again, like I said, I'm still religious, but it's like if you start to think too much about it, that kind of rubs you out about the faith thing. It's a thing where you have to have faith, and if you don't have faith, then you're not going to be a religious or a spiritual person, and it doesn't matter. If you take God or Yahweh or Muhammad or whomever you decide, whoever is your, spiritual leader, whether it's a mountainside, whatever it is.
That's right, Daddy. That's right, Daddy.
That's right, Daddy. That's something I used to wonder about too. And it says, thou shalt not worship false idols, or shall not have gods before me. I always wondered, even as a kid, is that like an acknowledgement that there's other gods, and God is, because there's, like I said, the first 4 commandments are how to worship God, or 3, depending on which one you look at. But I used to wonder, like as a kid, like is that an acknowledgement? Is he saying, worship me and only me? I'm king over all these other gods.
I got an idea on that.
Yeah,
I got a thought on that.
Go ahead, Officer Keenan. Give me your interpretation. Oh, who's that? Officer X. Oh.
No, that shall not place false gods before me. In my interpretation is you can't become a slave to money or fame or goats or yaks or whatever they had back then. Just.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Goats and yaks, very nice.
Or whatever they had back in the old days, or 40 virgins or whatever they got energy from. But when it comes down to religion, I mean, we've had this conversation a million times, right? If you get energy from it, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I always say, as long as it doesn't harm anybody else, it's in good taste. Yeah, I mean, why give yourself guilt and shit for it, right?
No, and my favorite question for anyone who describes himself as an atheist or an agnostic is just describe to me the God you don't believe in.
Describe to me I don't believe in.
Describe the God you don't believe in.
I don't get that. To me, that sounds like someone saying, why don't you want to dance? I can't answer that. I just don't have the desire.
Dancing sucks. But, no, describe the God you don't believe in. There's no such thing as God.
Watch RVD TV and RobVanDam.com.
Dude, no, listen, Sonya. I'm going to have Sonya the phone here. I have trying to get a hold of Booker T, and his mailbox is full and we can't leave a message. That's the way he always is. Wasn't I just saying that yesterday?
Yeah, I think he does it on purpose.
So now we got to hope that he calls back. Otherwise, he's no show on RVD radio. He'll probably call back. You think he'll call back?
I think he will. He's good like that.
All right.
Well, you heard what happened to him, right, with the cross thing and the religion and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's why I want to talk to him about it on the show. I just asked my producer to call him, Nicky Star.
Enlighten me on what happened.
Yeah, anyway, his mailbox is full. can't leave a message, but hopefully he'll call back when he sees the number because he's committed. He's agreed to do the show. He's been there. I wanted to talk to him about that. I'm not sure exactly what the purpose was, what his intentions. You know, we got to ask him. But if you hadn't heard, Masterpiece or anybody else, Booker and Boogeyman were in a restaurant in Houston, and they were told that Boogie had to take this cross off. If I'm telling the story right, he had a cross, and when they refused to take it off, and Booker, said, no, don't take that off. They said they kicked him out, said you have to leave. And it was a big scene because they wouldn't leave. They stayed. The police were called. Book says, where's your sign that says you can't wear crosses in here? They said it was against their dress code. And Book even said that there was a couple other people that were wearing crosses. I don't know if, I got to hear that from Book because he went back to the place because the cops made them leave, and he protested. Booker and Boogie have protested, and I haven't really got to talk to him about that since then, so I'm very curious.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about this.
And they filed a
fucked up.
complaint. They either arrested him or filed a complaint against him. And, the thing is about restaurants, they always have a little sign somewhere in there that says, we reserve the right to refuse you for any reason. So that's probably what they're going to use against it. But, I mean, my God. So you're in there wearing a cross. Can you imagine that? That's just the dumbest thing I have ever heard. First of all, for a lot of people, a cross is just a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, I really can't believe that that's what it was about,
So I wouldn't even be able to go to that restaurant. I have a cross tattooed on my forearm. So does that mean I'm going to get kicked out of the restaurant too?
Well, hopefully we'll be able to ask Booker T if he calls back within the next 50 minutes.
Yeah, they have an action there for you, Chris. I'll just cut it off.
Hey, Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Now, isn't the tattooing against the Jewish faith, especially a cross?
Ooh, is that true?
No, it is, but that's what I'm saying. I've never liked to, my mom tried to preach to me throughout my whole childhood that we were Jewish, but then again, we never took on any, this is how crazy it was. We celebrated Hanukkah and Christmas. That's just what I was used to. That's what I grew up in, and that's unheard of in the Jewish religion, but I was always, that's kind of the way I was brought up. It was kind of almost like a tweener between, well, Jesus is a Jew, in one aspect, but then again, the Jews don't acknowledge, Jesus and, his sacrifice. So, and again, this is all stuff I still question, and I don't know where necessarily I stand on it. I do believe in a higher power, too, but, this stuff as I got older and I got more educated about, that I question.
No, yeah, but I even know, some of those rules were tough for Jewish guys. The guy I work with, he can't eat a cheeseburger because there's milk and meat in the same meal. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. I've lived lived my life how I wanted to. I'm not going to restrain myself, to what what a book says is right or wrong. I think a lot of it is just, a lot of it is just common sense.
Yeah, my wife is Jewish, and she grew up celebrating both holidays as well. And now in our house, when it's Hanukkah, she does her, her candles, lighting them every night, and I stand by there with her while she does it. And, she celebrates Christmas on our side. And when we're talking about having kids, it's like we're going to bring them up in both religions, and when they're old enough, they can make the decision on their own.
Hey, Joe, Jesus Christ was Irish, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, you know why, right?
Oh, God, no, why?
He hung around with his 12 apostles, drinking with them, lived at home till he was 33, and his mother thought he was God.
Well, of all the name.
All right. You a fretted, fled Flintstone. All right, awesome.
This Booker T story really fascinates me, though, and Boogeyman, wow. When did this even happen?
This just happened a couple weeks. So you might know, but it was a couple weeks ago. I talked to him briefly afterwards. He said the protest went good, and that was all the details I got at the time. So hopefully he'll be calling in. We're going to keep calling and trying to get a hold of him. If not, he owes us an explanation. I also got on the line with us a caller that calls every week now on RVD Radio. Nikki Heyman, you're getting to be a regular reoccurring character on RVD Radio.
And I appreciate the fact that you pick up the phone for me, Zen Meister. How's everybody tonight?
Everybody,
Nick, what's up, girl?
Everybody's great, man. We're tackling a really tough subject that a lot of people have different opinions on, but really, it sounds like between Joe and myself and Masterpiece and even Officer X, sounds like we're not too far off from everybody's general understanding of how this thing works between us and our Creator. How about you, Nikki? Do you fit into an organized religion?
Well, I'm not a frequent churchgoer because I was kind of cured from it from going to Catholic school for 8 years. My mother was Catholic. My father was Methodist, and I was left to my own devices, as mentioned here. I just heard a couple of minutes ago. I wanted to tie it into a rather interesting little bit of prejudice. If you recall a conversation that you and I had, Rob, some years ago, I ran into you in Cleveland. I asked you a very important question. If you were a gamer, but you're a comic book guy, but you speak gamer.
You know, I'm basically ignorant when it comes to most games. I think they're cool, and because I played a lot of video games as a kid, I love seeing the commercials and seeing how far the graphics have come. And I have the Van Gaminator, which RVD TV watchers can see. It's a stand-up arcade game in my game room that Sonia's brother created that has 5,380 games. Chris Masterpiece, vouch for that?
Oh, yeah, I saw it. That's for
yeah,
sure.
you played it. You played it, motherfucker. Anyway, I really can't. I can't really handle any of the games that have come out with more than 2 buttons since the Atari 2600. So I have the Xbox and the PlayStation and all that stuff, but usually it only gets played by little kids that are visiting, like nieces and stuff like nephews. You know, so I don't really consider myself a gamer, but I appreciate the game. Not Triple H the game.
I wasn't going to go there, although I was going to make the joke. God created evolution, ask Triple H. But that's not why I called.
Tanya does want a Wii.
But no, the reason I bring up gaming is the fact that one of my outside hobbies, outside of wrestling and of course listening to this radio show, is that I'm an avid role-playing gamer. I play a lot of the Dice and Paper, Dungeons and Dragons, and various similar games. Now, if you run into a devout Christian and you tell them that, it is so much fun to watch them flip their ever-loving wig, claiming that we're a bunch of devil worshippers and Satanists, just because some of the books actually detail information about the demons.
Well, you know, see, that's what I was talking about a little earlier. Everybody has their own agenda when it comes to religion, and whether or not you want to, you know, worship God, worship the side of a mountain, worship a bottle of wine or whatever. But nobody should sit there. If you want to be truly religious and truly spiritual, why should anybody put down anything anybody else does?
Listen, guys, Sonia has a comment to add to you, Nikki Heyman, right here.
Thank you.
I just love to fuck with the Jehovah's Witnesses that come to the door because I've had 2 blood transfusions now, and they believe that if you've had a blood transfusion, then you cannot get into paradise or kingdom of heaven or whatever the hell it is that they go to. So when they come and knock on the door, the first thing out of my mouth is, "Don't worry, I'm not savable. I've had 2 blood transfusions." They just start to melt.
Wow. True story. I always want to answer the door naked, but I always think about it.
Well, it just got really interesting. The fact that here I am. I was in a Catholic middle school. I actually showed up one day with my D&D books, and in the first edition, one of the books actually has a brilliant depiction of a demon on the cover. I was actually scaring underclassmen with it. I horrified at least one teacher, and just kind of basked in the experience because I'm like, what? It's a book. The Bible's a book too. You think I can leave all this shit in here?
You guys, I went to Catholic school out there because there's quite a few of you on the line. None of you are currently involved in the Catholic religion. So it's like everybody I've known that's ever gone to Catholic school or says they've gone to Catholic school has absolutely nothing to do with the Catholic religion.
And you know what? And I'll explain my end of it. My reason was the only reason we went to church is because we got to skip a class. That was the only good reason. That was the only reason we were actually in church, because we had to go and we got to skip a class.
You're listening to RVD Radio.
Yeah.
He what? I didn't know they allowed him on here. Anyway.
I got kicked out of Catholic school.
Well, that's not hard to do.
No,
but it was just the fact I had such a huge negative experience those 8 years that I decided, you know what? If I need to talk to God, I got a very comfy bed in my bedroom. I'll close the door so that nobody else has to listen to me talk to him. And I'll talk to him how I need to talk to him.
I think it's a very personal thing, our relationship with our Creator, and it seems unnatural to me to be in a room full of people that want to stand up and sing and then kneel and stand up and sing and kneel and all that. You know, talking in tongues is really weird. The whole thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Hey, Big Joe, just so you know, I know you're driving across the country. You can hang on as long as you want and just let us know when you got to go. I don't want you to, keep on hold and feel like we're dragging you along.
No, not at all. Actually, I'm in a Safeway in Phoenix, Arizona right now, so I'm doing some shopping while I'm talking to you guys.
Right on. Okay, cool. Good to know.
Yeah,
and
but you know what? I think that was Sonia who said the thing about the Catholic religion and people not having anything to do with it afterwards. I think because a lot of us who grew up and the Catholic Church has changed a little bit. Back in those days, everything was negative. You know, you had to be afraid of God, and, if you didn't do this, you were going to hell. And, today the religion's a little bit different. But back then, you were scared if you put your pants on with the wrong leg, my God, you're going to hell.
Yeah, it's not, it's fear is a great motivator. Fear, and if enough people are afraid, then they're controlled. And that's
exactly.
That's the goal. It's all to control. Hey, Dr. Shawn Stasiac on the line. Don't know yet if
Hello, Rob.
We'll find out if this thing explodes if I got too many callers on the line at the same time. I still got Harry Slash in New York.
Crash it. Oh.
Dr. Shawn.
Hey, RVD, what's up? What's going on, man?
Hey, dude, we got Harry Slash, we got Chris Masters, we got Officer X, we got Big Joe, and we even have Nikki Heyman all on the line at once, man. It's like when all the fans were in the ring at ECW, and they were all jumping up and down and the ring broke. That's what's about to happen. Dr. Shawn, we're talking about God. We're talking about organized religion. We're talking about spirituality. I know that you are a very spiritual brother, and we're just discussing our different opinions of how it works. Is that most people want to go with the organization, and maybe that's a bit of a follower's approach, possibly, prospectively, and then there's those of us who on our own try to really grow that connection. What about you, Shawn? Do you fit a label? Are you Christian, Catholic, Jew, or Protestant, whatever the hell?
I grew up in a Catholic background, living in Toronto with my European grandparents, Yugoslavian family. My dad, of course, was Catholic, if anything. But then I moved down here to the South, and it's kind of, it's the Bible Belt, so I guess it's all Christians down here. I kind of got turned off from religion, Rob, as you know, and I just decided to seek myself, and I'm very spiritual in the sense that I do believe in a higher power. I do believe that Jesus Christ was a prophet and roamed the earth, and there might have been other prophets, but I don't have the answers, and I don't think anybody truly does have the answers. I think people want to believe that they do, and I think there's some merit to the Bible, but I don't know. I wasn't there, and that's where my search comes in. But I'm definitely not one to sit back. I'll still go to church, and I'll get out of it what I feel to get out of it, and I'm there to connect, but I'm not going to sit there and be brainwashed and punch in a time clock like everybody else does, because that's the thing to do, and some people are that way, So really, I'm on my own journey, my own search. You know the stories that I've shared with you with the coincidences and linked to my mom and dad who have been deceased for years, and some of the the empowering, fulfilling things that I've experienced are definitely of a higher power. It's definitely not a coincidence, and they're definitely not human-like either. So that's my take on the whole thing.
Right on. Well, appreciate that, Dr. Shawn. We got the return of Chris Masters on RVD Radio today. You might want to give a shout out to Chris Masters. I know you missed him.
Hey, Chris, I missed you, man.
Hey, what's up, Shawn? I thought that was actually beautifully put. Everything you said, I completely agree with. Once again, you're a very intelligent dude, brother. I like the way you put that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Chris. Hey, Chris, by the way, where were you? You were missing in action, and people were concerned. Like, what happened?
Oh, just the first week, as Rob knows, I was down in working for NWE over in Spain, so I was completely on a different time clock from you guys. And in the past couple weeks, I've been moving, but I'm back and I'm here. And we're doing a
We're
bit.
about to know you're alive.
Yeah. Welcome back. All right, Dr. Shawn. Well, we'll give you a call on the Dr. Shawn show immediately following RVD Radio.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, guys, we have no idea what we're talking about tonight, but it should be fun. So definitely call in because we'll know what to talk about.
Right on. Looking forward.
You can only talk so much about broccoli and coconut oil. All right, guys, have a good show, man. Call in.
All right, thanks, man. And obviously he hasn't talked about it enough yet, or else my diet would be totally different. Now he does have me feel guilty when I'm drinking coffee every day, thinking about how he says on his show that the coffee is killing me. I want to die from coffee.
Why is coffee killing us?
Hey, someone looked, we have our coffee. Someone came in the house the other day and they said that the Sweet and Low was putting holes in my brain and that the milk was, the soy milk is just raising my estrogen level. It's like, what the hell, man? What's the coffee doing for me?
You're turning into a chick.
I guess, huh? Dude.
You don't want.
You'd be a funny-looking tranny.
Maybe we'll find out.
Hey, son, you don't catch him wearing your skirts, do you?
I know. Hey, I got to check on the Cushionator real quick. Cushionator, I see you on the line. I don't know if you went in or if you're just listening, but right now, you got to let me know. What up, Cush?
Yo.
You just calling to listen and I put you on the spot, or maybe you wanted to shout out to something to Chris Masturbator. He's on the line.
What's Chris?
Oh, I know who the Cushionator is.
Yeah.
What's up, Cushionator?
Yeah, it's the Cushionator. To everybody listening, Cushionator is the guy that makes my kick-ass theme song.
Drop that down! The whole
Show, that's you, Cushionator. How's your night going?
Chillin', I just got a new bass. Fucking sick.
Bass. All right, cool, man. We're going to come and see you soon. You want me to put you on mute so you can listen to the show? We got about 30 minutes left.
I read that King Booker is there.
Yeah, you know what? He's supposed to be, I got a message that he's calling, or he's going to call in a minute, so I'm kind of like holding on. I'm going to play a clip from RVD TV here in a second, but first, I'm going to give my friend Harry Slash a moment of time. So hold on, Kush, and, oh, there's Booker right there. Hold on, Harry Slash. Hold on, Cushionator. Let me go to my guest, the five-time. What up, Booker T? Speak to me, Book. Booker. Uh-oh, wait. Why did mute him? Unmute. Now try talking to me, Book. What up? All right. I know it says he's on the line. Booker T, I hear you.
You got me, man. You there?
Booker T, I don't know what's going on, but I hear you now. What up, dude?
Hey, man, what's going on, man? Just kicking it, man. Just down here at the Booker T Pro Wrestling Academy right now, man. Just kicking it.
Sweet, man. As long as you're plugging that, you got a website you want to throw out?
Yeah, BookerTOnline.com. You know, Booker T PWA Wrestling at Yahoo.org or something like that. What's
right on, Book. I got Sonya sitting in here with me. I got Chris Masterpiece. Yeah, what up, Sonya?
What up, Book?
Got Chris Masterpiece is on the line. Dr. Shawn just got off. Bunch of guests. Hey, Book, we wanted to talk about the protest you and Boogie did at that restaurant. What happened? Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, man. A couple of Sundays ago, actually, Marty Wright is his name, known as the Boogie Man. He had invited me to come have a drink with him. You know, just watch a little football. Like I said, it was a Sunday afternoon. Actually, I was on my way to go, hit a few golf balls. And but he interrupted that, just then I hadn't seen him in a while. So I said, hey, man, I'll meet you. It was a new spot, place called Vito's. And went there, and I met him, and we sitting at the bar just having a couple of drinks, kicking and watching the Houston Texans get beat as usual. and about 15 minutes into having a drink, it just kind of felt strange. The bartender, she was a little rude, and then finally she came over to Marty and told him he either had to put his cross inside of his shirt or he was going to have to leave the bar. And I was like, whoa, wait, what are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, that's their rule. I'm like, well, wait a minute, are you telling me that you cannot wear a cross in this establishment? And the girl says, yeah, that's the rules, but it's a female, a lady sitting right next to me. She has a cross on with a necklace, and a female behind me has a cross on also, and it just seemed totally out of order, and caused a big ruckus about it. And I told the guy, I knew a few people in the city, and I was going to be back, but I wasn't going to be back alone, and I protested his establishment. I had got about 40 people out there. Actually, we had the news media as well, and it was a peaceful protest, though. And actually, I know the owner of the club, of the bar, and he's an asshole.
Really? So you knew him before, and did that possibly have something to do with why he didn't want you guys in there?
No, actually, he wasn't even at the bar the day that it happened. It was his staff, manager, and bartender. And the way I was dressed, I don't think the bartender knew who I was. The manager, the acting manager, he knew who I was after the fact, but the damage had already been done.
Do you really think, what was it about? What was your perspective of it? Was it really about the cross?
No, I think it was a racial issue, and I just think that's their way to, get people out that they don't want, feel, that should be in their establishment. We were the only two, blacks in the bar at that time. Everybody seemed like they were having fun, I guess, till we got there and threw a little damper on things. But I think it was more racial than the cross. I just feel like that's their way of, getting guys out of there. Normally, in that situation, when they tell someone to leave, the bar, a restaurant like that, the person normally leaves quietly or, pretty mad, or, they get the bouncers to, bounce the guy out of there. And but with me, when the manager came, I told him, hey, I'm not leaving until the police come. And if you got somebody that can bounce me out of here, let them bounce me out of here. So I was going to get the fight anyway. You know me, I'm always looking for a good fight.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that's crazy. Sounds like some ignorant skinheads or something give you a little backlash for President Obama taking the seat. I don't know.
That could have had a whole lot to do with it. I know there's a lot of people upset right now about, President-elect Obama, but, that's what this thing is all about, really is about change. It's about people like that. That's why I really felt like I needed to make a stand, opposed to, get into a fist fight or anything like that. I went totally a different route, and got a bunch of people out there who believe in God. I didn't even make it racial. I made it, what they made it, which was about a cross being worn. So I had a lot of people out there who believe in God, and a lot of people was pretty upset about it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, from my perspective, looking at this, whether it's a racial issue, whether it's prejudice against religion, or whether it's like Proposition 8 out here where there's prejudice against same-sex marriages, either way, it's about trying to hold people back by not giving them equality, and it's an ignorant perspective to take. People want to keep people underneath them because they want to control them.
I feel like that, as well. Like with this guy, like I told him, I say, I don't see a sign on the door where I can't wear my necklace or anything like that. You can use that at your own discretion. I'm like, that's pretty ridiculous. I'm like, you may not like my shoes that I got on. You may not like the shirt that I'm wearing. You can tell me I got to leave, So I think it was more ignorance than anything. And like I said, I feel like me taking a stand, and letting people know that, you know, you don't have to, you know, be treated like that, you know, and people like that, you know, I just feel like they need to be known about.
Right. Well, listen, Book, today we're talking about organized religion and God and the Bible and its place. And do you, if it's all right to ask, do you fit a label as far as, like, consider yourself a specific nomination? Are you Christian, Asian, like, devoted Catholic, Christian, etc.?
I feel like I fall under the, you know, the Christian cloak, you know what I mean? But I don't really feel like I have active, you know, denomination really right now. I mean, I'm not, you know, actively in a church. I'm not, you know, I don't belong to a church right now at this time, you know, but I do go to church. Actually, I go to Joel Osteen's church here in Houston on Sundays when I'm at home. And
wow, when I was, last time I stayed at Booker T's house, when I did that PWA show, I stayed at your house and I saw Joel Osteen on TV, and I was completely mesmerized by him. That guy can talk, and he had like a really good message. You know, I could really connect, and I appreciated what he had to say. You know,
one thing about him. You know, he reached all races, creeds, and you know, I mean, I go to his church with a lot of black people, Hispanic, whites as well. You know, and he just preaches a message. He actually talks. He always tells a lot of stories. You know, he just doesn't preach to you like a lot of preachers do, and that you really can't, you know, believe in what they're saying. You know, he just tells you a lot of stories and pretty much lets you determine for yourself, you know, which way you should go, I think.
Yeah, that's what I understood out of him, too. That's why I liked him. Hey, Chris from New Massachusetts, you got a question? No, New Mexico. What's NM, baby? NM. You got a question for Booker T?
Yes, sir. Booker T, I just want to ask you about, I don't know, you know, some people may get mad, but WCW, you still talk to your tag team partner from Harlem Heat? I forgot his name, though.
Stevie Ray, my brother, actually.
Probably still talk.
Yeah, actually, right now we got a little feud going on. Actually, started a couple years ago, and actually, me and my brother, we're kind of at odds right now. That's the real true fact, right? This is real talk here, you know. And but me and my brother, you know, I'm sure we'll work it out. But that is my blood brother. And I love him for the rest of my life.
Right on. How about Kamal from South Carolina? What's up?
Hey, Robin, you pronounce my name Kamal. You know, but just call me Riley, yo. Just call me Riley.
All right, dude.
What up, Riley?
What up, Booker T? Yo, you remember me? You remember me from leaving messages and all that? And Adrian used to call. Adrian used to answer the phone.
You remember him, Buck? Come on.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's right, Daddy.
That's right, Daddy. It's like I'm a big fan of yours, man. It's like you're like there's no other wrestler like you. It's like you can just have basic normal moves and you can make it just seem so exciting. You just that charismatic. You have a certain quality that other wrestlers don't have, and I'm happy to see that.
I appreciate that, man. That's what I've always pretty much tried to, make my career, you know, totally different. You know, put my own style out there. You know, I could just walk around and, you know, make it. My trainer always told me, you know, walking is action. You know, staying in one place, that's really boring. You know, so my thing is, when I was a kid, coming up, watched a lot of karate movies. You know, Kung Fu Theater on Saturday mornings was like my big deal. You know, so I could act like I could do it all. But I am a pretty tough guy. On top of that, you could ask Batista about that.
Yeah, that's how we roll on RVD Radio. I like that. David from California, be quick with it.
Down, you digger!
Digging it the most, baby.
That was kind of weird. All right, Mr. Insanity.
That was from the Warriors, man.
Oh, that was. All right, you got it. Hey, I don't know how it came across to my end. Mr. Insanity, Cushionator, you want to shout out to Book real quick?
Yeah, Book, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, dog?
Hey, when are you going to come from, you know what I'm saying, MK Beach Club?
Yeah,
he don't know what you're saying, but I'll tell you, Book, that's the club that
I could translate it. I could translate it real soon, dog. Real soon.
He knows, man. He knows.
Hey, Shawn, I'll be in there. I'll see you tomorrow, brother.
Hell yeah. All right, well, listen, I got this call from a good friend of mine down in Florida. He's the manager of champions. What up, Fonz?
Hey, Daddy, what's up, my brother?
And join RVD Radio. We got Booker T. We got Chris Mass.
Fonzie?
Still got Joe McDonald and Slash. Fonzie, we're talking about God and organized religion. Can you handle that?
Oh, I can handle anything, brother. You know what I mean? The whole fucking world is like a stage, you know?
And who built that stage, Fonzie? Was it the Big Bang Theory? Was it just like a piece of melting rock that eventually became the world, or was it created with purpose?
I think it was created with purpose. You know what I mean?
I think I do know what you mean.
Damn, there's got to be something else out there. That's going all the way back to UFOs and shit. You know what I mean? The God and all that stuff. They say we started in Africa. You know, the Egyptians and the Romans, they came and stole all the shit from Africa, so it all started there.
Yeah, it seems like no matter what you use for a reference for the start of mankind, it's always somewhere right around the Mediterranean, and right. Quite possibly Africa. It's like Greek mythology was around way before Christianity, and Egyptian mythology before that. You know, I mean, it makes sense. They told the stories first. The stories got changed a little, and then a little bit more later. And now, in 2008, we have this book of stories that isn't even consistent with the way it was written originally. But we believe in this book so much. Like I said, we swear on it in the court of law, and we live by the Ten Commandments within it. It's something that most people devote most of their life to, and if you don't mind, we're questioning it a little bit tonight.
Yeah, like 99% of the world, I mean, religious, you know, damn.
Yeah, well, I definitely believe there's a higher power, and if you want to say that makes me religious, okay, I consider myself spiritual. I don't know what that power is. It's life, it's the universe. It's
right.
Yeah, and
that's pretty much how I swing too, Van Dam, because it's too hard to believe in one God. I mean, you see the paintings and all that, the guy with the beard and long hair, you know. I don't know, but I do put my faith in the higher power, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, guys, I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning it. I think in a way, if you do question it, it can serve to even strengthen whatever you believe in because you're thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely, if we were created, you know, with individual brains and a power to choose and make choices, then if anything is our purpose throughout life, it is to question and to look into, you know. We've only got a few minutes left. I'm going to hit this clip real quick from RVD TV, guys. You're welcome to stay on, or if you got to go, you got to go. We got about 4 minutes and 20 seconds of this recent conversation that I had with Sabu and with David DeFalco, good friend of mine, movie producer.
Most people think that they're going to meet their maker when they die. That's what they mean, okay? You can talk to God your entire life. He's probably not going to write you an email back and respond to you. You know, there are messages and there are signs, and those are the miracles that I'm talking about.
But wait a minute. He told George Bush to run for office.
That's true, but George has superpowers.
Well, what I'm saying is, look, what are you talking about here? I mean,
do you feel like you're being watched, by a greater force?
Potentially.
Yes, absolutely, I do too.
All right, but what's wrong with if I kill someone and it was a totally innocent person? What's wrong with somebody then killing me to justify that?
Well,
that's what this whole argument started over, and that's where you had questions. You know, only God should decide who. You know, that's like the power that should be granted only by God, and it's wrong to. But yet, you know, the argument is why if somebody kills someone, why is it wrong to then kill them?
You're still killing somebody. If
you
kill somebody,
but that person maybe killed more than one person.
Maybe.
And you mean to say that God would frown if we had to take that person out?
I don't know, and you got to be able to move on past that because we're not going to be able to answer that. But but the question posed there is the person that's killing the killer. I mean, is the Punisher, the superhero? He goes out and he kills hundreds and thousands of bad guys. tortures them, ties them up to a tree, pulls their intestines out to get information on them, burns them. He's killed thousands. They're all bad guys, mafia killers. Do you think that he's going to be an angel? No. I mean, he is now stained with murder. He is, just like the executioner that's chopping heads off on a chopping block. Hey, that guy, maybe he's doing what's right for society, but he now is no longer an angel.
If God created human beings with the capability of killing other human beings, then he has to also have some kind of built-in way of justifying that, because otherwise everybody could become killers without any repercussion.
Sabu, don't most people consider like the whole meaning of going through life, God like saying, okay, you guys are free to go, find your way back to me, and it's up to you to make the right decisions? Like, we got a freedom of choice, we have good judgment based inside us. He gave us good morals, and we're supposed to be able to make the right decisions to lead a good life, to be good people. And
what if they don't?
Well, they don't, that's it. Then, then according to the Bible, from what I understand, then like they're drawn towards the evil, dark side, right?
But but don't you have to rectify and deal with that? I mean, and not, and why is that a sin? In other words,
why is going to the dark side a sin?
No, why would it be wrong to try to stop or even kill people that have gone to the dark side, that now their only purpose is to destroy what God loves? Because that is the purpose of the dark side. That's the purpose of the devil. Satan hates what God loves, and the dark side is all about death, destruction, and chaos. That's something I know for a fact.
If everybody murdered one murderer, then the murder rate would double right there. You see what I'm saying? You kill every time you're killing, you're adding to the problem. I don't have all the answers, but that's the thing about God, is if He is inside of us, then we have a moral code, and you should know what's right and what's wrong, and that's what's thrown out on the table. If we are created by something for a reason, which I believe, Sabu believes, I don't know if you believe that we actually have a reason, or if you think this is meaningless.
No, of course I believe it.
Okay, because honestly, the Big Bang Theory kind of seems meaningless. It's all just,
I agree.
There's no point to it. You live, you die, here comes. So that's the question, and I'm not one to really go by the specifics of the Bible. I think there's a lot of stories in there that were written by man. And basically that's what that's about, but I definitely believe in that we are flesh and there's some greater power, and to me that's God.
I agree, Rob, and this has been a very titillating discussion, but God has just given me a cue that we're running out of time. So for this episode of RVD TV, David the Demon and God himself, Sabu, wish you all a good night.
Wow, and that was the clip for RVD TV this week, guys. God left me and I had no idea what to do, so somebody help me out.
Sonia, Fonzie, that was pretty heavy conversation.
Yeah, Triple D is kind of a heavy kind of guy. He's just out there.
Yeah. But,
Fuzzy Daddy, is that time my...
Yeah,
all right.
horrible.
All right, so anyway, we covered most of that, and Sabu didn't say much, did he, at all?
Well, he
No, he didn't. I was waiting for him to talk, and he didn't even say a couple words.
But anyway, that's RVD TV. It's at robvandam.com. That's where you watch it.
Watch RVD TV at robvandam.com.
And listen to RVD Radio right now. That's pretty hot. Hey, Van Dam, history is so fascinating. I mean, it goes all the way back to religion. You guys are talking religion and history and stuff. I wish we could find out exactly what happened, but it's a big mystery,
Yeah, it most likely will remain a mystery. We unfortunately, if we do know, it's when we're dead. So I think I can wait. David from California, what's up with you?
Nothing much. I mean, like, the way I see it about the whole religion thing.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like, as long as, like, because everybody believes in different religions, right? Like, you got Buddhism, Christianity, and everything else, right? Now, the way I see it is, like, I'm not saying there's all just one God or whatever, but, like, I have a feeling, like, they're all basically teaching the same morals, you know. And so
yeah,
like, if
but that's the thing. We don't know. Is there somebody trying to teach us morals, or is there a bigger idea, a bigger plan? Because yeah, I mean, we can compare all the stories and say, well, there's goodness to learn from it, but really, that's not what the understanding is. The understanding is that the one and only Creator is saying, hey, pay attention to me, or burn for eternity. You know. So
yeah, but the thing is, like, if you focus your entire life worrying about, like, well, worrying about, like, about, like, God, your God or whatever, then, like, you're not really living, you know? I mean, you gotta...
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, too, and a lot of Bible thumpers will say that if you think it's about this life, it's anti-Christian, if that's the right word. It's sin, because this life, I think we're supposed to pass by, and we're supposed to show that we don't give the temptation, that we follow a straight line this life, so that we can be rewarded in the next life. I think that's the idea behind some of the organized religion. And if you think you're going to get the most out of this life, well, then that includes, you know, who knows, you know, indulging in the pleasures of this life. That can be viewed as a sin, or it can be viewed, you know, by someone that's enjoying and appreciating God's work and enjoying life as it was meant to be enjoyed. I don't know.
Or somebody just trying to use religion to control the masses.
Yeah, I believe that's the origin and the continuation of organized religion. Officer X, why, you know, what is it that you get out of going to church every week that I don't get? Is it a better relationship? Is it a personal understanding?
It's a personal understanding. And when I get out of things, I like to hear a couple of readings. I like having 35 minutes or 40 minutes of no one torturing me, no phones ringing, no one pulling at my ears, and just time to reflect on what's going on for the week. And you know, I think spirituality, and let me see what you think about this, right? Spiritual fitness is often the same as physical fitness. If you pray, if you read, and you challenge your thinking, you become more in tune with that energy field, you know?
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000%. You and I and Dr. Shawn have practiced and worked out, so to speak, with a lot of spiritual exercises that have shown great results in our life. I mean, there's been serious payoff just in our life. It's been in the quality of life. So.
And I don't care what anybody says, right? What anyone says, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I mean, I know, like you said, I've been watched over my whole life. There's been a series of coincidences. I've always had the right person show up for me at the right time in my life, and that's because you make yourself aware. I mean, if you want to sit home and eat your Cheerios and play Dungeons and Dragons or whatever you do, right, you're going to have a different feeling than if you're working out, if you're reading, if you're challenging, if you're looking at the universe. And what do you got to say about that, Fonzie?
Yeah, all I got to say about that is heaven for me is eating big belly clams, fried clams at Kelly's.
Right, Daddy. Oh, my boy, you remember me, buddy.
Yeah, hell yeah, I do. We partied together in a little town right outside of Philly. We did the autograph station and stuff. You were cool backstage, hanging out, and yeah, man.
We remember you. We remember you, Officer X. Hey,
Fonzie's over with the boys in blue.
Yes. Yeah, Daddy.
You know, we want Fonzie riding with us when we're taking the miles down the highway. Hey, Fonzie, I also got Harry Slash on the line with me, who you know from the original ECW. The show's winding down. We only got a few minutes left. Let me ask you something real quick, Harry Slash, before we reach the grand finale. You got something you want to plug, right?
Yeah, Rob. You know, a lot of people find religion through music, and they say like one of the most spiritual bands is Led Zeppelin. And next Tuesday we have a CD coming out with a couple of Led Zeppelin songs on it. The CD is called Misty Mountain Hop, a tribute to Led Zeppelin. It's got an all-star cast. A lot of great guys from New York, from the Slash Tones that played in ECW songs, guys like myself, Arno Heck, Charlie Sabin, Tony Moore, Steve Budgie, Felix Hanneman from Zebra, Mark Hitt, Greg Gerson from the Billy Idol Band. It's like an all-star thing. And I think you guys got like about a 30-second clip of it that I sent you. So
I think we do. Is this it right here?
It would
Who stole the fucking dope?
Yes, it is.
That's one of my new favorites. Here's Harry Slash's tribute to Led Zeppelin.
There you go, Daddy.
Your destination is RVD TV and RVD.com.
Awesome.
Yeah. That sounded really good, Harry Slash. And this is not an encouragement for everybody to start sending me their music. But in case you don't know, we wouldn't have anything without Harry and his original ECW music back in the day. Shit sounds good, man. And, yeah.
Stairway to Heaven, Daddy. Slash is our New York connection. Beautiful. He's ambassador.
Yeah, that'll be available everywhere next Tuesday, November 25th at a record store near you. Misty Mountain Hop, a Millennium tribute to Led Zeppelin. Okay, let's go back to God.
How'd you know where I live? Hello. All right. Hey, Fonzie, how can people get a hold of you if they want to book you?
Just listen to RVD Radio every Wednesday, and they call me up and say, hey, Fonzie, are you available for weekends? And I'll say, hell yeah, Daddy.
Dude, that's awesome. They can connect with you straight. What about you, Joe McDonald? You got anything you want to plug? Oh, I just lost him, like, right. He hung up, like, right as I was about to say that, too. Well, I wanted to give Big Joe's website out, but he powdered. We only got 4 minutes left. This show's just about done. It was a pretty good show. Officer X, man, what'd you think? We handled the topic of religion, spirituality. I don't think we burn any bridges anywhere. Do you?
No, but I have a confession to make.
A confession? I don't know if it's the time or place. You might be the one to tell me, but go ahead.
Fonzie is my lower power.
Your lower power? Does that mean
nothing wrong with having a little bit of power, you know what I mean? Higher power, lower power. At least I got some power, Daddy.
You're my lower power, Fonzie.
Awesome. Well, shit.
You're the man.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can't wait to get in that area and hook up with you. I love Kelly's, man.
I'm going to be there Sunday, brother.
Dude,
wow, you know the one that right there in Revere, you stand up by the window and order, you know? Not the new one.
Yeah, the new one's not as good. No one's not as good.
All right, man, you guys are starting to crumble apart at the end of a kick-ass show, man. You trying to chase everybody out? Thank you, Harry.
No way. RVD Radio, it's all you, Daddy.
RVD Radio.
I'll give you a number. I'll give you a call someday, buddy.
Yes.
RVD Radio.
Were you going to give a call, too?
Fonzie, I got to give him a shout-out, man. You know I got that little problem.
Uh-oh. Is it this problem?
Who stole the fucking dope?
What'd you do with the goat?
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much, Officer X, for giving us your input on the subject today and every day on RVD Radio. Thank you, Harry Slash, and good luck with the tribute. That shit sounded awesome. Not that I'm very musically inclined, but it was good, right, Sonia?
It was good.
It was.
I'm buying the CD as soon as it comes out.
Fonzie's waiting in line already. Thank you, Fonzie. We will talk at you again next week. Appreciate all the callers. This is
no problem.
Kick-ass music for Mr. It's even still on? Oh, I thought Mr. Insanity might have stayed on long enough to listen to his show, but he didn't. So guess what? We're going to listen to the song.
Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Damn a needle! Dance of a needle! Man across your needle! Man stop the needle! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! A damn shot straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! You can stop the straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! I will fly high! 5-star frog splash! You can't stop me! 5-star frog splash! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! It's all about the yin and the yang! The balance of power that's in! You can't stop the yin and the yang! The balance of power that's in! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! I will levitate! Flip kick you in the yam!